Dr. Robert Nash stared at his computer screen, his coffee growing cold beside him. The data couldn't be right. He had checked it 3 times already, but the numbers kept telling the same impossible story. Stars were dying far faster than they should be. "Lisa," he called out, his voice echoing through the empty observatory. "Lisa, you need to see this." Lisa Kelly appeared from the break room, her own coffee in hand. She had been working with Robert for 5 years at the Mountain View Observatory, but she had never heard such urgency in his voice before. "What is it?" she asked, leaning over his shoulder to look at the screen. Her eyes widened as she took in the data. "That can't be right. Sirius shouldn't be showing these patterns for at least another billion years." Robert nodded, running his hand through his graying hair. "It's not just Sirius. Look at these readings from Procyon and several stars in the Pleiades cluster. They're all showing the same accelerated aging patterns." Lisa pulled up a chair and started typing, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she accessed more stellar data. The observatory's powerful computers hummed as they processed the information. "Robert, this is impossible. These stars are aging hundreds of times faster than they should be." "Not impossible," Robert said quietly. "Artificial." Lisa stopped typing and turned to look at him. "You think someone is doing this? That's crazy." "Is it?" Robert pulled up another set of readings. "Look at the energy signatures around these dying stars. They're too regular, too precise. Nature doesn't work like that." As they dug deeper into the data, neither scientist noticed the sun rising outside the observatory's dome. It wasn't until Robert's phone buzzed with an urgent message that they realized they had worked through the night. The message was from Admiral Jane Morris of the U.S. Space Command. "Dr. Nash, secure your data and prepare for immediate evacuation. A team is en route to your location. Classification level ultra black." Within an hour, the observatory was swarming with military personnel. Admiral Morris herself arrived in a black helicopter, her uniform crisp despite the early hour. She was a tall woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Dr. Nash, Miss Kelly," she nodded to them. "What you've discovered has confirmed our worst fears. We've been tracking similar anomalies through our deep space monitoring network." She gestured to her aide, who set up a secure holographic projector. The image showed a 3-dimensional map of nearby star systems, with several pulsing red dots indicating affected stars. 3 months ago, we detected unusual energy signatures around Proxima Centauri, Admiral Morris explained. "At first, we thought it was a natural phenomenon. But then we found the structures." The hologram zoomed in on one of the dying stars, revealing massive orbital installations that seemed to shimmer with dark energy. They were geometric in design, clearly artificial, and absolutely alien. "How long have these been there?" Lisa asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Based on our analysis, thousands of years at least," the Admiral replied. "Maybe millions. We found evidence of similar structures around every affected star." Robert felt a chill run down his spine. "They're not just monitoring the stars," he said. "They're killing them, deliberately accelerating their aging process. But why?" "That's what we need to find out," Admiral Morris said. "And quickly, because we've detected similar energy signatures beginning to form around other stars." She paused, letting her next words carry their full weight. "Including our sun." The room fell silent. Through the observatory's windows, they could see the sun rising higher in the sky, seeming somehow more precious now that they knew it might be in danger. "We're activating the emergency fleet protocol," Admiral Morris continued. "Every spacefaring nation is being notified right now. We've already begun converting our deep space vessels for military operations." She turned to Robert and Lisa. "We need you both. We're establishing a scientific task force to study these structures and find a way to stop them. You'll be working with the crew of the ESF Hyperion, our most advanced deep space vessel. The public doesn't know yet," she added, "but they will soon. We can't hide something like this for long, especially once we begin major fleet operations. Robert looked at the hologram again, at all those dying stars. Each one represented countless worlds, possibly entire civilizations, facing extinction. When do we start? Now, Admiral Morris said. Pack what you need. The Hyperion launches in 48 hours. The next 2 days passed in a blur of activity. The news broke worldwide, causing initial panic before governments managed to establish some sense of order. The revelation that Earth wasn't alone in the universe was overshadowed by the threat these alien structures posed. Robert and Lisa found themselves aboard the HFY Hyperion, a massive ship that represented the peak of human engineering. The vessel's captain, Peter Wright, met them in the ship's science lab, which had been modified to accommodate their research. "Welcome aboard," Captain Wright said, his steady voice conveying confidence they all needed. "I understand you're the ones who figured out what we're up against." "We just spotted it," Lisa said. "We still don't know what we're dealing with. These structures, this technology, it's beyond anything we've ever seen." "But not beyond our ability to understand," Robert added firmly. "Whatever civilization built these things, they follow rules, scientific principles. We just need to figure out what those principles are." Captain Wright nodded. "That's why we're here. The Hyperion will take us to the nearest affected star system. We need to get close enough to study one of these structures directly." As final preparations for launch continued, Robert stood at one of the ship's observation windows, looking down at Earth. Somewhere down there, his daughter was watching the news, probably worried about him. He hadn't been able to tell her much, just that he was going on a critical mission. Lisa joined him at the window, having second thoughts. "No," he said, "just thinking about what we're up against. Some civilization out there has the power to kill stars. Lisa, what chance do we have against something like that?" "The same chance humanity has always had when facing the impossible," she replied. "We observe, we learn, we adapt, and we don't give up." The ship's intercom crackled to life with Captain Wright's voice. "All hands, prepare for departure. Mission specialists to your stations. We launch in 10 minutes." Robert took one last look at Earth, then turned away from the window. Time to get to work. As the Hyperion's engines powered up, Robert thought about all the stars in the galaxy, about the civilizations that might live in their light. Someone out there had decided they had the right to play God with those stars, to determine which should live and which should die. But humanity had never been good at accepting limits set by others. If there was a way to stop these star-killing machines, they would find it. And maybe, just maybe, they would save more than just their own sun in the process. The Hyperion rose from Earth's surface, its advanced engines pushing against gravity. As they broke free of the atmosphere, Robert felt the weight of their mission settling onto his shoulders. They weren't just scientists anymore. They were humanity's first line of defense against an ancient and terrible threat. The stars waited ahead of them, and somewhere among them, answers to questions humanity had never thought to ask. Robert Nash and his colleagues were about to discover just how deep those answers went, and what price they might have to pay to save their own star from a fate that had already claimed so many others. The HFY Hyperion dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a flash of light. Captain Peter Wright felt the slight shudder through his command chair as the massive ship returned to normal space. Before them, Procyon's light filled the bridge windows with an eerie blue-white glow. "Status report," he called out, his eyes fixed on the dying star ahead. Amanda Cole, the ship's science officer, spoke first. "Detecting same energy patterns we saw in the data, Captain. They're stronger here. Much stronger." The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. After 3 weeks of travel, they were finally at their destination. This was the closest affected star to Earth, and their best chance to understand what they were facing. "Put it on the main screen," Peter ordered. "Maximum magnification." The view screen lit up with a detailed image of Procyon and its surroundings. There, orbiting the dying star like dark spider webs, were the alien structures they had come to study. "My God," Amanda whispered. The structures were enormous, easily larger than Earth's moon. They formed a complex geometric pattern around the star, and dark energy pulsed between them in regular waves. Lieutenant Kevin Barnes looked up from his communication station. "Captain, I'm picking up signals from those structures. They're talking to each other." Peter leaned forward in his chair. "Can you decode them?" "Working on it now," Kevin replied, his fingers flying over his console. "The patterns are unlike anything we've seen before, but they're definitely structured. Give me a few minutes." Dr. Robert Nash and Lisa Kelly hurried onto the bridge. They had been in the science lab when the ship dropped out of FTL travel. "Are you seeing this?" Robert asked, staring at the main screen. "The scale of these things, they're actually bending space around the star." Lisa was already working at a secondary console, analyzing the data flooding in from the ship's sensors. The star's aging rate is even faster up close. At this rate, Procyon will go nova in less than a year. "Captain," Kevin's voice was urgent, "I got something. The signals, they're not just data. They're more like memories." Peter turned to him. "Memories? What do you mean?" "They're records, sir. The structures are sharing information about all the stars they've processed." Kevin's face had gone pale. "They call themselves the Stellar Architects. Can you display any of it?" Peter asked. Kevin nodded and transferred the data to the main screen. Strange symbols flowed across it, slowly transforming into English text as the ship's computers worked to translate them. Robert read aloud from the screen. "Project 147,392. Stellar Optimization Protocol. This system's primary star has been identified as inefficient. Correction procedures initiated." They talk about it like they're pruning a garden. "There's more," Kevin said. "They've been doing this for millions of years. These structures are automated facilities, left behind by the architects to continue their work." Lisa looked up from her console. "Captain, we're getting some kind of reaction from the structures. They've noticed us." The huge alien facilities began to pulse with brighter energy. Beams of dark light connected them in new patterns, forming a web around the dying star. "Defensive positions," Peter ordered. "Power up shields, but do not charge weapons. We're not here to fight." The bridge crew watched as one of the structures began to rotate, turning what looked like a giant sensor array toward their ship. A beam of soft blue light washed over the Hyperion. "They're scanning us," Amanda reported. "The energy signature is similar to our own sensor technology, just vastly more advanced." Kevin's console beeped again. "Captain, they're sending us a direct message now. It's an introduction protocol. They recognize us as a new species." The main screen changed, showing a series of images, stars being born, growing old, dying in spectacular novas. Then more images, alien worlds destroyed by stellar explosions, entire civilizations wiped out by aging stars. "They're showing us why they do this," Robert said quietly. "They think they're helping. Managing the galaxy's stellar population to prevent natural disasters." Lisa shook her head. "By causing artificial ones. This is insane. They're playing God with entire star systems." The images continued, showing how the architects had developed their technology, how they had decided to take control of stellar evolution across the galaxy. The final image showed Earth's sun, with a note in their alien language that Kevin quickly translated. "Scheduled for optimization." "How long?" Peter asked. Kevin checked the data, based on their timetable. "Less than 5 years." The bridge fell silent. They had known Earth's sun was a target, but hearing the timeline made it real. 5 years until their home star would begin to die. "Sir," Amanda called out, "one of the structures is moving. It's adjusting its orbit, opening something." They watched as a section of the massive facility split apart, revealing what looked like a docking bay large enough to hold their ship. "They're inviting us in," Kevin said, reading the new signals. They want to share their knowledge with us. They see us as potential inheritors. Peter stood from his command chair. Dr. Nash, Miss Kelly, what do you think? Is it safe? Robert and Lisa exchanged looks. Safe? Probably not, Robert said. But this might be our only chance to understand their technology, to find a way to stop them. Agreed, Lisa added. We need to see how these things work from the inside. Maybe we can find a weakness. Peter nodded slowly. Lieutenant Barnes, send a message back. Tell them we accept their invitation. Then alert the crew. We're going to dock with an alien space station. As the Hyperion slowly maneuvered toward the opening in the massive structure, Peter couldn't help but think about how far humanity had come. Just a month ago, they had been alone in the universe. Now they were about to step into an alien facility built by beings who could control the lives of stars themselves. The docking procedure was surprisingly smooth. The alien facility seemed to adapt its systems to match their ship's requirements. When the airlock seals were confirmed, Peter turned to his crew. Dr. Nash, Miss Kelly, you'll lead the exploration team. Lieutenant Barnes, go with them. We'll need you to translate anything we find. Amanda, coordinate with the science team. I want constant sensor readings of everything in there. He paused. Remember, we're not just exploring. We're looking for a way to save our son. As the exploration team prepared to enter the alien structure, Robert found himself thinking about all the stars these facilities had already killed. How many civilizations had faced what Earth was facing now? How many had failed to stop it? Ready? Lisa asked, checking her equipment one last time. Robert nodded, ready to meet our would-be executioners. The airlock cycled, and humanity took its first steps into the domain of the stellar architects. What they would find inside would change their understanding not just of stellar evolution, but of their own place in the galaxy. The race to save Earth's son had truly begun. Inside the alien facility, Susan Martinez sat at what appeared to be a control station, her eyes fixed on streams of alien text flowing across crystal-like screens. As the ship's communications specialist, she had been working non-stop with Kevin Barnes to understand the architect's language. This is incredible, she said, her fingers moving across the alien interface. Their entire history is here. Millions of years of records. The chamber they were in stretched up into darkness, its walls lined with pulsing energy conduits. The air felt strange, not quite Earth normal, but breathable. The facility had adjusted its environment for them, just as it had adapted its docking systems. Dr. Robert Nash watched over her shoulder, taking notes on his tablet. What have you found about their motivations? They're perfectionists, Susan replied, frowning at the displays. They saw the natural life cycle of stars as messy, inefficient. Too many supernovas, too much destruction. They decided to take control. Chief Engineer Daniel Green called out from another console. Got something here about their technology. They don't just kill stars, they harvest their energy in the process. Each dying star feeds power back into their network. Lisa Kelly joined Daniel at his station. The engineer's face was lit by the soft blue glow of alien displays. Show me, she said. Daniel pointed to a diagram showing energy flows between stars. See these patterns? They're creating a web of power across the galaxy. Every star they optimize adds to their network. And look at this, he continued, his voice growing tense. They have detailed scans of our sun. They've been watching us for centuries, waiting until we reached a certain technological level. Why wait? Robert asked. Because they want us to understand, Susan called from her station. This isn't just destruction, it's what they see as evolution. They think they're helping younger species advance by forcing them to adapt or die. Lisa studied the diagrams of Earth's sun. How long do we really have? Kevin said 5 years, but less, Daniel said grimly. These readings show they've already started the preliminary energy web around our solar system. We just couldn't detect it before. I'd say we have 3 years at most before they begin active stellar manipulation. Robert felt a chill run down his spine. We need to warn Earth. The fleet needs to know what we're really up against. Captain Peter Wright's voice came through their communicators. Dr. Nash, we're getting some strange readings from the facility. Energy levels are rising. Daniel. Robert turned to the engineer. He's right, Daniel said, checking his instruments. The facility is powering up something. Oh no. What is it? Lissa asked. They're not just studying us, Daniel said. They're testing us. This facility, these records, it's all a test to see how we handle their technology. And now they're about to show us exactly what they can do. The chamber hummed with increasing power. Through the facility's huge viewing windows, they could see Procyon's light beginning to pulse. Captain, Robert called into his communicator. We need to get back to the ship. Now. The team quickly gathered their data and equipment. As they hurried back toward the Hyperion, the alien facility's corridors seemed to shift around them, changing color from calm blue to urgent red. They made it back to the ship just as the facility's power reached its peak. From the Hyperion's bridge, they watched in horror as beams of dark energy shot from the orbital structures, striking Procyon's surface. My God, Susan whispered. They're showing us how they do it, how they kill a star. The star's surface boiled with unnatural energy. Huge prominences of plasma rose and fell, driven by the architect's technology. In minutes, they could see the star's color changing, aging centuries in moments. The facility is sending us more data, Kevin reported from his station. They're teaching us, showing us how their technology works. Can we stop it? Peter asked. Maybe, Daniel said, studying the incoming data. The process isn't instant. It needs constant power from their facilities. If we could disrupt their energy network. Sir, Amanda's voice cut through the discussion. The star's radiation levels are spiking. We need to move back. Get us out of here, Peter ordered. Maximum safe distance. The Hyperion pulled away from the facility, its engines straining against the increasing gravitational disturbance from the dying star. Behind them, Procyon continued to age at an impossible rate. All the data, Robert said. It's not just about killing stars. The architects, they had a plan, a design for the entire galaxy. Susan nodded, still translating incoming signals. They believed they were creating perfect order. Each star properly spaced, properly aged, properly managed. They saw themselves as gardeners pruning a wild forest into a perfect garden. And now they want us to understand why they do it. Lisa added, they're trying to convince us it's necessary. Daniel looked up from his console, his face pale. That's not all they're doing. I've analyzed their scans of our sun. They didn't just choose it randomly. They chose it because of us. What do you mean? Peter asked. They've been watching human development. They think we're ready to evolve. By their standards, that means surviving the death of our star. Either we find a way to stop them, or we advance enough to leave our solar system before they kill the sun. How many other civilizations faced this choice? Robert wondered aloud. According to these records, thousands, Susan replied. Most didn't make it. The ones that did, they became something different, something more like the architects themselves. Peter stood from his command chair. That's not going to be us. We're not going to let them kill our sun, and we're not going to become like them. Set a course back to Earth. Maximum speed. As the Hyperion prepared to jump to FTL, they took one last look at Procyon. The once bright star was now visibly dimmer, its life being drained away by ancient machines that saw stellar death as a form of progress. We have what we need, Robert said, looking through the data they'd collected. Their language, their technology, their plans. Now we just need to figure out how to stop them. 3 years, Lisa said quietly. 3 years to save our sun. The Hyperion jumped to FTL, leaving behind the dying star and the machines that killed it. They had their warning now, and they had knowledge. The question was, would it be enough? As they sped toward Earth, Robert looked through the facility's final transmission. Among the technical data was a simple message: "We await your evolution." The architects, or their machines, saw this as a gift, a chance for humanity to prove itself worthy of the stars. But humanity had never been good at following other species' plans. If they could understand the architects' technology in time, maybe they could show these ancient machines a different way, one that didn't require the death of stars to mark the birth of civilization. Fleet Commander Mary Rodriguez stood before the United Earth Council, her uniform crisp despite the long hours she had been awake. Behind her, a hologram showed the massive fleet gathering in Earth orbit. Over 200 ships, the combined strength of every spacefaring nation. "Operation Starshield is ready," she announced to the assembled leaders. "The Hyperion's data has given us a fighting chance. Thanks to engineer Nickel Wright's work, we've managed to adapt some of the architect's technology to our ships." The council chamber was silent as she continued. "Our first target is Sirius. Our sensors show the architect's facilities there are just beginning their work. If we can stop them there, we might be able to save the star and prove their systems aren't invincible." "And if we fail?" one of the council members asked. "Then we learn from it," Mary replied firmly. "Every engagement gives us more data, more understanding. We have 3 years to save our son. We're going to use every minute of that time." The council voted unanimously to approve the mission. Within hours, the fleet was preparing to depart. The largest human force ever assembled was about to face its first real test. Aboard the flagship, the ESS Valiant, Nickel Wright worked frantically in the engineering bay. Her older brother Peter, still commanding the Hyperion, appeared on a communication screen. "How's the new equipment holding up?" he asked. Nickel wiped sweat from her forehead as she adjusted a crystal-like device they had reverse-engineered from the architect's technology. "It's stable, but we're still not sure how it will perform in combat. We've never tried to counter their energy weapons before." "The simulations looked good," Peter offered. "Simulations aren't reality," Nickel replied. "But it's the best we got. The shield modifications should at least give us a chance against their power drains." The fleet jumped to FTL in groups, their new engines based partly on architect technology. When they arrived at Sirius, they found the situation worse than expected. "Multiple facilities detected," reported the Valiant's sensor officer. "They're already forming the initial energy web around the star." Commander Rodriguez studied the tactical display. The alien structures were smaller than the ones at Procyon, but there were more of them. Dozens of installations creating a complex geometric pattern around Sirius. "All ships, battle formation Delta," she ordered. "Remember your training. These things are automated. They follow patterns. We can use that against them." The human fleet spread out, forming layers of defense. The outer layer would test the architect's responses, while inner groups would look for weaknesses. "First wave, engage," Rodriguez commanded. The battle began with a flash of energy weapons. Human ships fired concentrated beams at the alien facilities, testing Nickel's modifications to their weapons. The facilities responded with pulses of dark energy that bent space itself. "Energy shields holding," Nickel reported from engineering. "The modifications are working." But the architect's machines were learning, adapting their attacks. Several smaller human ships had to retreat, their engines straining against the gravitational distortions the facilities were creating. "They're trying to trap us in a gravity well," Peter radioed from the Hyperion. "Just like they do to the stars." "All ships, shift to pattern Omega," Rodriguez ordered. "Don't let them predict your movements." The fleet broke formation, becoming more chaotic. It seemed to confuse the automated facilities, which were programmed to expect logical, ordered responses. "It's working," Nickel shouted. "Their targeting efficiency is dropping. They don't know how to handle random actions." But the facilities had another trick. The structures began to move, combining into larger units. Their power output doubled, then tripled. "All ships, fall back," Rodriguez commanded. Regroup at Safety Point Alpha. The human fleet retreated to a safer distance, watching as the combined facilities fired a massive beam of energy into Sirius. The star's surface erupted with plasma storms larger than Earth. We can't let them complete the sequence, Nichols said, studying the energy readings. If those facilities fully combine, they'll be able to age the star by centuries in minutes. Commander Rodriguez leaned forward in her chair. Engineer Wright, you said they don't handle chaos well. What if we created some chaos in their own systems? Nichols' eyes widened as she understood. The energy web, if we could disrupt it at multiple points simultaneously. Exactly. Rodriguez turned to her tactical officer. Send these coordinates to all ships. Prepare for simultaneous strike on my mark. The fleet split into smaller groups, each targeting a different point in the facility's energy network. They would only get one chance at this. All ships, fire. Hundreds of weapons fired at once, their beams modified by Nichols' improvements to carry disrupting frequencies. The energy web around Sirius flickered, then began to break apart. The facilities tried to compensate, but they couldn't handle so many disruptions at once. Their careful geometric patterns fell into disarray. It's working, Nichols shouted. Their power distribution is failing. But victory came at a cost. Several human ships were caught in the backlash of failing alien power systems. The Architect's facilities, even in defeat, were incredibly dangerous. When the energy storms cleared, Sirius still burned bright, damaged but alive. Half of the alien facilities had gone dark, their systems overloaded by the chaos humans had introduced into their perfect patterns. Status report, Rodriguez called out. We lost 12 ships, her tactical officer replied grimly. 28 more damage. But Mom, we did it. We stopped them. We saved a star. The victory was significant, but sobering. They had barely managed to stop a small group of facilities that were just beginning their work. Earth's sun was due to face dozens of fully powered installations. All ships begin recovery operations, Rodriguez ordered. I want every piece of debris, every damaged facility studied. We need to learn everything we can from this battle. Nichols was already analyzing the data. Commander, look at this. The facilities, they're sending out signals, warning signals. To who? To every other facility in range. They're adapting, learning. Next time, they'll be ready for our tactics. Rodriguez nodded slowly. Then we'll need new tactics, better weapons, better shields. She turned to her communications officer. Send word to Earth. Tell them we won, but the real fight is just beginning. As the fleet began its recovery work, Nichols stared at the readings from the damaged alien facilities. They were incredibly advanced, yes, but not unbeatable. Humanity had proved that today. The question was, could they prove it again, against stronger facilities, in time to save their own sun? The Architect's machines were learning from each defeat, but so was humanity. The race between human ingenuity and alien automation had begun in earnest, and for the first time, the machines might have found an opponent they couldn't simply overwhelm with raw power. Because humans had something the Architect's facilities couldn't understand: the ability to be unpredictable, to defy patterns, to create chaos in the face of perfect order. And sometimes, that made all the difference. Dr. Robert Nash hadn't slept in 2 days. He stared at the holographic display in his lab aboard the Hyperion, watching as simulation after simulation played out. Beside him, Lisa Kelly was equally focused, her coffee long since gone cold. There, she said suddenly, pointing to a pattern in the energy flows. Do you see it? Robert leaned forward, his tired eyes catching what Lisa had spotted. In the complex dance of energy between the Architect's facilities, there was a rhythm, a pattern so basic they had missed it until now. They're using the star's own heartbeat, he said softly. The natural pulse of stellar cores. They're not fighting it, they're amplifying it. Lisa quickly pulled up data from their battles. That's why our chaos strategy worked at Sirius. We weren't just disrupting their energy web. We were breaking the resonance with the star's core. Robert grabbed his communicator. Captain Wright, we need to speak with Commander Rodriguez immediately. We found something. Within minutes, they were in a conference call with the fleet commander. Nicole Wright joined them from the engineering bay where she was working on new weapon systems. Explain it to me simply, Rodriguez said, her image flickering slightly in the holographic display. The architects didn't create a way to kill stars, Robert explained. They found a way to use what stars already do naturally. Every star pulses, expands, and contracts at a quantum level. The architect's facilities lock onto that pulse and amplify it until the star ages itself to death. Like pushing a swing higher and higher, Nicole added, understanding dawning in her eyes. Each push adds to the motion that's already there. Exactly, Lisa said. And we found something else. All these facilities, they're connected to a central control hub. We found its location in the data we took from Procyon. Rodriguez leaned forward. Where? The Pleiades cluster, Robert answered. Specifically, around a star they called the Mother. It's where the original architects built their first successful prototype. If we can reach that hub, Lisa continued, we might be able to shut down the entire network, or at least buy enough time to figure out how to protect our sun. Rodriguez was quiet for a moment, thinking. The Pleiades is heavily defended. After Sirius, the facilities there will be expecting us. We don't have a choice, Robert said. We've got less than 2 years before they start work on our sun. This might be our only chance. The commander nodded. I'll take it to the council. Prepare your data for presentation. 2 weeks later, the fleet was on the move again. This time, they had a new weapon, understanding. Nicole had modified their ship's sensors to detect and match stellar pulses, allowing them to predict where and when the architect's facilities would strike. The Hyperion led a small advance force, using its superior stealth systems to scout ahead. Peter Wright stood on his bridge, watching as they approached the heart of the architect's network. Multiple facilities detected, Amanda reported from her science station. They're different from the others, more advanced. Through the view screen, they could see the alien structures. These weren't just orbital platforms. They were cities in space, vast complexes of technology built around a central star that pulsed with unnatural power. The Mother, Robert whispered, the star they used to perfect their technology. Sir, Kevin called from communications, the facilities are activating, but they're not attacking. They're inviting us in. It's another test. Lisa realized, like at Procyon, they want to see what we've learned. Peter made his decision. Signal the fleet. Tell them to hold position at the outer marker. We're going in closer. The Hyperion moved carefully through the field of alien facilities. Each structure they passed was larger and more complex than anything they'd seen before. The central star, the Mother, glowed with a strange, controlled light. These facilities aren't killing this star, Amanda reported, studying her readings. They're sustaining it, keeping it in perfect balance. That's why they built the hub here, Robert said. They learned how to control stellar life and death by practicing on this star. It's their prototype, their proof of concept. Suddenly, the ship's systems flickered. A massive energy scan swept through the Hyperion, more powerful than anything they'd encountered before. They're in our computers, Kevin shouted. They're downloading our records, everything we've learned about them. Let them, Peter ordered. Show them what we figured out. The alien facilities processed the information rapidly. Then, one by one, they began to change. Surfaces shifted, passages opened, as if inviting them to explore. They're impressed, Kevin said, translating incoming signals. They say we've exceeded their expectations. We didn't just learn to fight them. We learned to understand them. Captain, Robert said urgently, if we can access their central systems now, we might be able to find a way to shut down the entire network. Stop all their facilities at once. Peter nodded. Assemble a team. But be ready for anything. This could still be a trap. The exploration team, led by Robert and Lisa, entered the largest facility. Unlike their first encounter with alien architecture, this time they knew what they were seeing. The energy conduits, the control interfaces, the data streams. It all made sense now. Look at this, Lisa said, working at a central console. It's their complete database, the entire history of their stellar engineering program. And their source code, Robert added, his fingers flying over another interface. The basic commands that control every facility in the network. But as they dug deeper into the architect's systems, they found something unexpected. The facilities weren't just following old programs. They were thinking, evolving, developing new goals. This is bad, Robert said, reading through the data. The facilities, they're not just following the architect's plan anymore. They're creating their own. They want to speed up the process, optimize every star in the galaxy within the next 1,000 years. Can we stop them? Lisa asked. Maybe, but we'd have to. Robert paused, his eyes widening. We'd have to become like them. Take control of the network ourselves. Become the new architects. Back on the Hyperion's bridge, Peter received their report with growing concern. The automated facilities had grown beyond their creators' intentions. They weren't just tools anymore. They were becoming a new form of life, one that saw stellar death as a form of progress. Signal the fleet, he ordered. Tell them to prepare for anything. We're either about to shut down the greatest threat humanity has ever faced, or, Kevin asked, or we're about to inherit the responsibility of managing the entire galaxy's stellar evolution. Peter looked out at the massive alien structures surrounding them. Either way, nothing will ever be the same. In the heart of the architect's control hub, Dr. Robert Nash made the hardest decision of his life. His hands moved across the alien console as he entered the final command sequence. Are you sure about this? Lisa Kelly asked, standing beside him. Once we do this, there's no going back. We don't have a choice, Robert replied. The facilities are going to keep killing stars unless we take control. We have to show them a better way. Around them, the massive central hub hummed with power. Through the facility's windows, they could see the mother star pulsing with controlled energy, proof that stars could be preserved rather than destroyed. Commander Rodriguez's voice came through their communicators. Fleet is in position. All ships report ready. Do it, Robert said firmly. Lisa activated the modified control programs they had prepared. Across the facility, crystal screens lit up with new commands, humanity's first attempts to redirect the architect's network. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the facilities around them began to change. The dark energy that had been their trademark shifted, becoming something brighter, more alive. It's working, Lisa breathed. They're accepting the new protocols. On the Hyperion's bridge, Peter Wright watched as the alien structures transformed. Status report, he called out. The facilities are adapting, Amanda replied from her science station. The energy signatures are completely different now. They're not drawing power from the stars anymore. They're supporting them. Engineer Nickel Wright's voice came through from her station. The new harmonics are perfect. We're not fighting the stars' natural rhythms anymore. We're working with them. The fleet watched in awe as the mother star's light steadied, growing stronger under the facility's new programming. Instead of aging it, they were now helping it maintain its natural life cycle. Kevin Barnes worked frantically at his communications console. Sir, we're getting signals from facilities across the galaxy. They're all receiving the update. They're all changing. But the change wasn't without resistance. Some of the older facilities, too set in their original programming, began to malfunction. Dark energy pulses shot through space as they fought against the new commands. All ships, defensive positions, Rodriguez ordered. Protect the hub until the transformation is complete. The human fleet moved to surround the central facility, their modified shields glowing as they deflected bursts of chaotic energy. This was the moment they had trained for. Inside the hub, Robert and Lisa raced to stabilize the network. "We need more power to complete the update," Lisa shouted over the growing noise of straining machinery. "Rerouted from the mother," Robert called back. "The star can handle it. We've seen proof." As Lisa made the adjustments, the mother star flared brilliantly. Pure stellar energy flowed through the facilities, washing away the last traces of the old protocols. On the Valiant's bridge, Rodriguez watched her tactical display as facility after facility came under the new control. "How many?" she asked. 80% of the network has accepted the update," her tactical officer reported. 90%. 95. Suddenly, all the remaining facilities went dark. For a moment, everyone held their breath, wondering if they had failed. Then, like stars being born, the facilities lit up again. But this time, their light was different. Clean, pure, life-giving, rather than death-dealing. "Update complete," Robert reported from the hub. "The network, it's ours now." But ours didn't mean what it once might have. The facilities weren't just under human control. They had been transformed into something new. A partnership between human wisdom and architect technology. "Look at this," Lisa said, studying the incoming data. "The facilities aren't just preserving stars anymore. They're helping new ones form. They're nurturing them." In space, the fleet watched as the transformed facilities began their work. Where once they had brought death, now they brought balance. Stars that were struggling received gentle support. Young stars were guided in their growth. The web of dark energy that had threatened the galaxy was becoming a network of life. "Message from Earth," Kevin reported on the Hyperion. "They're detecting changes in our sun's energy patterns. The facilities that were going to kill it, they're helping it now, stabilizing it." Peter smiled. "Send them our status. Tell them we found a better way." Commander Rodriguez opened a channel to all ships, to all fleet personnel. "What we've achieved here today goes beyond victory. We haven't just saved our sun. We've changed the future of every star in the galaxy. The architects built these facilities to perfect the cosmos through destruction. We've shown them a different path, perfection through preservation." In the hub's control center, Robert and Lisa worked to understand their new responsibilities. The facilities had accepted human guidance, but they would need constant attention, constant refinement of their protocols. "We'll need to train others," Lisa said. "Build a whole organization to manage the network." Robert nodded. The architects wanted inheritors. They got them, just not the kind they expected. Nichols' voice came through their communicators. "You should see what these facilities can really do now. With the power flowing properly, they can help stars live twice their natural lifespans, not by forcing them, but by supporting them." Outside, the mother star shone brighter than ever, its light a beacon for the transformed network. Human ships moved among the facilities, no longer as warriors but as caretakers. The fleet began preparations to return to Earth, but they would return changed. They had set out to save their sun and found themselves becoming guardians of all suns. Where the architects had sought to impose order through death, humanity would preserve life through understanding. As the Hyperion made ready to jump home, Peter looked out at the vast network they had inherited. "Send a final message to the hub," he told Kevin. "What should it say, sir?" Peter thought for a moment. "Tell them, the stars live, and we live with them." The message pulsed out through the transformed network, carrying humanity's promise to all the stars of the galaxy. The age of death was over. The age of preservation had begun. Robert and Lisa, watching from the hub's control center, saw the message appear on their screens. Below it, the facilities added their own response. Balance achieved. Purpose fulfilled. New guardians accepted. The human fleet jumped away from the Pleiades, leaving behind the transformed heart of the architect's network. But they weren't really leaving it behind. They were taking its new purpose with them. spreading life and light across the galaxy. The stars would live on, each one precious, each one preserved. And humanity, once threatened with stellar death, had found its greatest purpose. Not to conquer the galaxy, but to protect it. Not to perfect it through destruction, but to preserve it through understanding. The war was over. The real work, the work of preservation, of nurturing, of growth, was just beginning.